weekly program بالأحضان, the show that brings you General Sisi to your living room. General Sisi now took his military suit off. Now he looks like Morsi, and now he's heading to Russia. This things Nasser did it 60 years ago. No ideas, fresh idea post-revolution. After 60 years, people on the street demanding back the military, toppling the biggest dictator in Egyptian history 3 years ago, and the military complex, industrial complex, were in trouble. Now they are back. What is going on in Egypt is really beyond me. That's why we have our guest today, Raggi Assad. He's a Humphrey School of Public Affairs, and he's following Egypt. Just came from Egypt, and we're going to talk about what is going on in Egypt and how the events are really transpiring and make sense. Welcome to Balahdan.
Thank you very much.
It really, it's very confusing for a casual eye. I mean, even the people who follow this event, very confusing. You're talking about 3 years ago, millions of people went to support the street to topple a dictatorship, a military industrial complex. And then we have SCAF, and SCAF brought the brotherhood, and then we got rid of the brotherhood. Now, people are going crazy and nuts. There is hysteria in Egypt about the Sisi mania, and also the hysteria from the other side. But what happened in the last 3 years that brought this hysteria in every aspect of Egypt? Media, judicial, you know, everywhere you look, there is hysteria. There is no debate. There is no discussion. There is no really people thinking, what have we done, and what should we go from here?
Yeah, I think the hysteria is a very good way of describing what's happening right now. And I make an analogy. I say it's very similar to what happened in the US after 9/11. That people got something that shocked them into thinking that the only thing that matters right now is stability, national security, and to fight those others as hard as they can. And so human rights go by the wayside, the rule of law goes by the wayside, and it's us versus them. And I think that's what's happening in Egypt right now. Now, why did it get to that point? It got to that point because in Egypt, when the revolution happened, it was a very grassroots revolution, very decentralized. It did not develop leadership, and it could not take over power. The people who undertook the revolution could not take over power after. So what did they do? As soon as Mubarak left, they handed the levers of power back to the military. So the Egyptian state is considered still to be the father of the country, the paternal figure that's going to take care of us. So we handed it to the military, and the military calculated that, well, the best way to get stability is to have a pact with the Muslim Brotherhood, and to bring the Brotherhood to quiet the street down, to have some semblance of democracy while we stay powerful in the background. However, what they didn't realize is that the Brotherhood was very cunning and told them that we're going to preserve all your power and preserve your place. But over time, the Brotherhood felt much more empowered and decided to grab more and more of the power for itself, and therefore the pact between them and the military collapsed. Now you say, okay, what about all those revolutionaries? Well, all those revolutionaries are highly decentralized, very disorganized. So they didn't form a bloc, except when Morsi, after he won the presidency, decided to take a lot of power in his own hands and galvanize the opposition to finally come together. But again, when they came together, the first place they went to run is Papa the military. And they thought that we would add the different alliance now. So the secular opposition, the revolutionary forces, the youth, running to the military again to save them from the Brotherhood.
So when you say this is like post 9/11, you mean that January 25th was 9/11, or the June 30, or the Brotherhood?
The Brotherhood attempt to take over power and to monopolize power came as a shock to Egyptians, was similar to 9/11. That's what polarized the country into Brotherhood or Islamists and non-Islamists.
You mean within 6-8 months? That was Brotherhood with us for 80 years.
Yeah.
So what was in that 6 months that really kind of a revelation of people that Brotherhood really where in fact all the apparatus were run by the old regime, by the Filul, by the military. So what was, I still don't understand till today, what was the threat that was coming from the Brotherhood?
No, I mean, the Brotherhood acted, they rather than come and try to unite people and to try and get some consensus, the same way that, for instance, the Nahda party tried in Tunisia, and even though there was tremendous infighting in Tunisia between the Islamists and the others, at the end they realized that they had to come to a deal. Whereas in Egypt, the Brotherhood felt that their power is so much greater, that their electoral power is so great, that they can grab all the power they can get as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. And so they ran head on against the interest of the powerful state. So this is what the confrontation, the main confrontation in Egypt was between the powerful state apparatus, which was still very strong, and the Brotherhood that are trying to grab power as much as possible. And that confrontation turned into a popular confrontation because they also mismanaged everything so much that they also lost the public relations.
And what are the changes that took place since Sisi took over?
The changes in
Egypt. You talk about the Brotherhood brought a host of problems, could not manage the country. Yeah. It seems like the problem is still there, even magnified economically, politically.
No. I think that the daily failures of decision making. I was very much in Egypt during the time, the 12 months that Morsi was in power. I was there quite a bit, and every day they were alienating one constituency or the other, whether it's the artists and the actors with the Ministry of Culture, and by imposing on them a Minister of Culture who had absolutely no idea what culture was about, or whether they appoint a governor in Luxor who was a former member of the very group that assassinated Sadat and that attacked the Luxor and was responsible for the Luxor massacre. So one bad, or the day when they were trying to deal with the Renaissance Dam in Ethiopia and had this ridiculous meeting where they embarrassed everybody. So it was like a comedy. It was actually a bad comedy. And at least now, while the economy is bad, everybody knows that the economy is bad because of the political situation, people are feeling that the people in power are somewhat competent in their area of expertise. Where that was not the case.
Where did that come from? We had those same people for 6 years and brought Egypt to ruin economically and politically. Where did that come from? I mean, the military was defeated 3-4 times. Military. I mean, the economy was for business and elites. I mean, Egypt was out of history for almost 30 years. That's why we have all the civil war all over the places. Their historical role in the area was gone. I mean, where did this come now? People talk about the Sisi as the new Messiah, where in fact he has no credit or experience.
We have, Egyptians have selective memory. They'd rather blame all the problems of the past 30 years on Mubarak and his cronies, but the military is still considered like an important national institution that is a pillar of the Egyptian state. The military never lost credibility, even after the 1967 war and the 1973 war. The military remained a fairly highly respected institution. And I think that while the fact that the military was unhappy with Mubarak because he wanted to give the presidency to his son, who is not a military person, I think kind of created a certain autonomy for the military from the Mubarak regime. So the military is the pinnacle of the state, but the state consists of more than just the military. You have the security forces, you have the intelligence, you have the judiciary, and you have the bureaucracy. These are all very powerful interests that make up a huge part of the power structure in Egypt. And they have remained, and they're the ones who are asserting their power right now.
Well, I thought, you know, that will change. Revolution of January 25th, that was against all of that. And then we had the military for 18 months.
Maybe
it seems like they were mismanaging, more mismanaging than what Morsi did.
That's true.
And then the violation of human rights, the killing, the massacre in Rabaa, and now all these things are. What is about this loyalty? When you are loyalty, you don't question anybody. I mean, when you are, it's like tribal thinking now, brother Ali Zamalek, and the Brotherhood, they want to question Morsi, and pro-Sisi, they don't want to question the military or Sisi. So I thought that had changed in January 25th.
Well, I think we overestimated what January 25th could achieve. Yes, those people who were directly involved and who got their political awareness raised, I think. But after all, it was not a revolution. In my view, it was ultimately an uprising against Mubarak and his cronies, but it did not completely revolutionize the Egyptian state. The Egyptian state remained intact, its interests remained intact, its power remained intact. So I think we're exaggerating. It's not like the Iranian Revolution, which completely broke down the Iranian state, or the French Revolution, or the Russian Revolution. This is a revolution that removed the regime, but it did not change the state.
Isn't it what the military doing now, pushing Sisi, you know, as a messiah, is going to save, is raising a lot of expectations? Isn't that the same mistake that the Brotherhood made? And eventually,
I'm afraid that this is not just the military. I've seen this coming from all parts of Egyptian society, not just from the military.
But military can say no.
Yeah, they can say no, but
you
why?
Push me into this.
Why would someone say no if somebody tells him, "Please come and rule me"? Please,
of course, come because he's going to be responsible, and it's going to be disaster.
I think it's too tempting. Power is way too
for
tempting.
an individual or an institution.
Well, in this case, for both an individual and the institution.
You think the Sisi is making decision on his own? It seems like he's been pushed into this.
No. I mean,
he'd rather to be sitting there somewhere and, you know,
but
having fun with
there are a lot of interests that want Sisi in power, not just the military, and those are the people who have been calling for him to become president. Who have been, from my personal prediction, on the 3rd of July, when he pushed Morsi out, I predicted that he's going to be the next authoritarian president.
That means that June 30th is now it's a coup.
Well,
if he gets the
it's by popular demand.
What is this popular demand? This is a movie?
Well,
coming to near you?
Unfortunately,
this is like the movie.
If you had a completely free election right now in Egypt, Sisi will win by more than 75% of the vote. The point is, people can sometimes be undemocratic and want some undemocratic outcomes. The majority of the Egyptian people are very tired about the instability of the revolution. They're very tired about the bad economy, about the unstable political system. They got democracy they see has failed as a result of the experiment of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they're willing to give up their own power to give it to an authoritarian figure.
But but
that's what happened in many, the beginning of many authoritarian and fascist.
I thought that's why we revolted again. That's what we did for 60 years. But what is about the Egyptian leaders? That they do one thing right, and then they want to enslave the whole country. Like Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal.
No, I see. I don't blame the leaders. I blame the people who make these leaders. Right now, Sisi is a product of the popular mood, and if it wasn't Sisi, it would have been somebody else. So I don't think that Sisi is grabbing power. I think Sisi is basically taking what people are offering him and running with it.
But how much of this is manufactured by the old regime, the apparatus, all this crisis, misinformation, demonizing any opposition through the media, shutting down any dissents? So it's not the people. The people, well, I mean, those are, you're fighting.
Look, we can always argue about where is this popularity of Sisi coming from. You could talk about the media basically manipulating the popular will, which they do here, they do everywhere. You could talk about the fact that the state apparatus wants its interest, and so they will manipulate things to push ELSISI to preserve their interests. But the reality is that it's working. and they are able to get a large majority, scare a large majority of people, coerce a large majority of people, or convince a large majority of people, whatever it is, the mechanism, currently a large majority have rejected the Brotherhood and are calling for Sisi. What I find a tragedy is that there's no third alternative. We are stuck between these either military fascism or religious fascism, and there is nothing, no third alternative in between.
So you have
incapable of creating a democratic alternative.
So the choice before Egyptian now, a Khalifa or a Pharaoh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very depressing.
It's a very depressing choice.
Thank you so much.
And the revolution has failed, in my view, to create that third democratic alternative. I'm hoping the failure is a short-run failure. I'm hoping that those young people whose political eyes were opened during the revolution, whose political awareness was formed, will come back and demand better.
You know what's really worries me? That when you watch how the military make decisions, it seems like it's a bunch of kids sitting together and making things up. It's like nothing has changed in the last 6 years. I think he's going to Russia. He thinks it's still a Soviet Union. I don't think they have any idea the change that took place around them. And the things that works in the 60s and the 70s is not going to work now. As you say, the young and things. But thank you so much for coming. Appreciate your luck.
You're very welcome.
And we have, Egyptian Americans celebrated or commemorating the 3rd anniversary of the revolution, and we were there and we talked to some of the people, and we'll show this to you, and we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all. This is January 25th, the 3rd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution, and as we have here, we have a few of Egyptian American have a panel discussion. People celebrate or commemorate our university in different ways, and as we can see, there is a deep, complicated discussion here where the audience really got in a hot, heated debate.
Could you please? I'm Egyptian. No, I'm Egyptian too. No, I'm okay.
And we have a few people here going to tell us how they celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution. Who are you, sir?
My name is Muhammad Sombol. I've been here in Minneapolis for the last 25 years.
This is the 3rd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution.
Yes.
Could you reflect a little bit about how you feel, what do you think, and
what the Muslim Brotherhood doing from the terrorism there and the killing people and bombs all over the country, which is not good. Why they do that, I don't know. The Egyptians started to hate them because of the bomb.
So, me as an Egyptian, I was supporting the revolution for sure. But after that, we have gone through a lot of processes, democratic elections for parliament, for presidency. Then it has gone back again to autocracy. So,
discussion, people were talking about how repressive Egypt become under the military rule.
We want our army to protect us from the real terrorist that is there, like what happened in Sinai. Whoever is doing this.
What do you think of the way the Americans follow events in Middle East and Egypt?
Oh, we kind of like the horse race. You know, we try to make it way too simple. It's not simple. It's very complex. Anything that's 7,000 years old has lots of complexity to it, and I don't think most of us in this country don't have the patience to try to untangle all of that.
Thank you.
I just came from Egypt, really, and in my opinion, what's going on in Egypt right now is it's kind of confusing to me.
There wasn't so much disagreement of this panel discussion, except a few of the interpretation. We have one of the panelists, Dr. Raggi Assad, in the Humphrey Institute, came recently from Egypt.
I think right now we are in a period of, I call it nationalist hysteria, where people are very polarized in one camp or the other, and anybody who tries to dare say anything different is considered to be a traitor.
Professor Muhammad Al-Masri, Professor of Mass Communication in an American University in Cairo. What is the role of the Egyptian media?
As I mentioned in the presentation, we have a very hysterical media environment in Egypt. Things are pretty much completely one-sided. All of the oppositional networks have been shut down.
They say they want Rais Dakar, which means a male president, you know, or
an alpha one, huh?
An alpha president.
But we just toppled one.
This other one was old and had been there a long time. This one is young and handsome, so maybe that's...
handsome, this guy. Egypt has about 8-9 constitution in the last 100 years. Why a dictator needs a constitution?
Well, a dictator doesn't need a constitution, but it gives him the necessary legitimacy and legal backing to do his job. So right now, if you look at this new constitution, I mean, I have to tip my hat to the military. They were able to accomplish something that even Mubarak wasn't able to accomplish. You have the Minister of Defense is completely protected. He's appointed by the military. He's appointed for 2 terms. He's going to be there for longer than the president. And the Constitution says that the president cannot remove him.
Now we have Dr. Hamdi Sawaf, the one behind this event, put the panel together and actually moderate the panel. Tell us a little bit the idea of having a panel for commemorating the 3rd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution.
Thank you so much for coming to cover this wonderful event. And as you know, we had the first anniversary, and the second one, and I'm sure you covered the one last year. We decided to have the 3rd one, and I will never stop having commemorating and celebrating and recognizing the 25th of January revolution.
At least I hope that the Brotherhood is doing some soul searching. They clearly did make some mistakes. They do need to change aspects of their methodologies, especially as it relates to how to run a political group, which is different from running a religious organization. And I'm optimistic that will happen eventually.
Well, I want to end this. What kind of message you want to send from the Egyptian American community?
The main message, Ahmed, in here: 1, look for the truth no matter what.
You can see still the verdict is out about what is the future hold for Egypt.
الشرق بحاله وديانه ويا جباله، صحية الشرق بحاله وديانه ويا جباله، صحية الشرق بحاله وديانه ويا جباله، صحية الشرق بحاله وديانه ويا جباله، قام بشعوبه أبطاله، قام بشعوبه أبطاله، قام بشعوبه أبطاله، قام بشعوبه أبطاله، مع بطل الأمة العربية النور والخير والحرية، مع بطل الأمة العربية النور والخير والحرية، يا جمال يا حبيب الملايين.